the second interception for Mahomes.
Under the bright lights of the Caesars Superdome, Super Bowl 59 brought together two familiar foes on the game's grandest stage. The Philadelphia Eagles, hungry to redeem the heartbreak of 2 years prior, and the Kansas City Chiefs seeking to cement their spot in history and affirm their undying love for Satan by three-peating. You already know how this game ends, but it's called a cold open, and it's meant to keep you here until the end of the video. I know what you're thinking. Will we see Cooper DeJean, the most athletic white person in human history, pick six Patrick Mahomes in this episode? And the answer is repeatedly. But before we get to the crescendo of the NFL season in mid-February, let's start all the way back when it is started. At the very start, like Coldplay.
Oh, take me back to the start.
Unlike Coldplay, I'm not ousting any high-level CEOs and their affairs. But if I could oust an owner, it would be Jimmy Haslam. Yes, I would save your franchise if I could, Browns fans. It's the 2024 season recap to prepare you for 2025. Don't forget, the best way to support this channel is free. It's a subscription. Subscribe here. We're trying to get to 775,000 subs before the season starts. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks and my sign-up code TGS. Here's the thing, Prize Picks is hitting me with big bonuses for every 200 signups I generate. And honestly, I want them to get tired of paying me this season. So, if you live in one of the 45 states where Prize Picks is available and you like playing in these types of lineup builders, just use my code when you play. It makes a huge difference here. Make your first $5 deposit and Prize Picks will give you $50 in lineups. You pick 2 to 6 players, choose more or less on their stat projections, and bang, you're set if your picks hit. You can win up to 25 times your money if your picks hit. No sharks, no salary caps, no confusing drafts, just you versus the numbers. In August, I love making picks for season-long stat projections. Your $5 gives you a season's worth of tracking. Normally, I'm an optimist, but these are my NFL fades on season-long passing yard stat totals. And I grouped together 4 quarterbacks who I think will have fewer passing yards than Prize Picks is projected. Sorry, Caleb, JJ, Sam, and Jalen. I love all of you, but I feel like the yards are just a tad high. I'd advise doing the opposite of what I do, but you can follow me on Prize Picks. My username is Thatsgoodsports, and I got that blue check mark. And I didn't have to pay for this one. Prize Picks has every sport you can think of. NFL, and You know the other sport, skateball? Nah, basket pigeon? The other sports. Just do football. Seriously, let's hit those first 200 signups by the end of the week. Sports. The 2024 NFL season opened for the second year in a row in Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The Chiefs and the Ravens delivered a great opening to the season, and the Ravens were a toe's length away from stealing the kickoff game against the same team they lost the AFC Championship game to a few months earlier. The Chiefs followed up that game by reeling off 15 wins in their first 16 games. And did I forget to mention that the season concludes with Cooper DeJean pick-sixing the fuck out of Mahomes in the Super Bowl? Oh my God, yes! They were no longer the high-flying Chiefs of old, just a team that knew how to win close games. Sometimes it was a well-timed pass interference, a blocked field goal to win at the buzzer. No! No! They blocked the goddamn kick! Or a fumbled snap that took the Raiders out of field goal range. I do have to thank the NFL for ranking the blocked field goal from the Broncos-Chiefs games as just the 100th best play of the year. I had that ranked as the single worst play of the last 5 years, so thank you, NFL.
They blocked the goddamn kick!
The Chiefs found a way to grind out games through necessity. Hollywood Brown was injured immediately, and Patty Mahomes took out Rashee Rice's ACL trying to make a tackle after throwing an interception. For fans rooting against Kansas City, I think it's worse watching a team that looks beatable continue to win every week the way the Chiefs did. They were so banged up in the receiving department, they made a midseason trade for DeAndre Hopkins. The only team that was able to put an end to their undefeated start, the Buffalo Billies. The Bills starting in with Josh Allen. And in Season 7, the 2024 NFL MVP cut his interceptions down to just 6, combining for 41 touchdowns, including a backyard-style TD reception as he led Buffalo to 13 wins and a 5th consecutive AFC title game. Late in the season, the Bills were finding themselves in shootouts. A 44-42 loss to the Rams, followed by a 48-42 victory at Ford Field against the Lions. A mid-season trade for Browns receiver Amari Cooper didn't provide the boost the Bills were hoping for, but in a lot of ways, the Bills' offense exceeded expectations as Josh Allen masterfully spread the ball around, with Stephon Diggs now in Houston. James Cook had his best year in the backfield and found the end zone 18 total times. Overall, Buffalo scored a franchise record 525 points, and the only team that scored more were the team they beat in Detroit. The 2024 Lions were a wagon, a juggernaut that was fresh, creative, and addictive television. Ben Johnson had Jared Goff falling down on purpose before throwing touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs broke out and led the NFL in total touchdowns with 20, and safety Kirby Joseph paced the league with 9 picks on defense. He was a ball hawk. And former UFL kicker Jake Bates was blasting 50-plus yard field goals with ease. More importantly, he was practicing tantric sex with the turf he played upon. Far more sensual than J-Mo's aggressive turf fucking we witnessed. You gotta warm her up first, J-Mo. Jake Bates set the Lions scoring record with 142 points and Amon Ra 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 Ra. I'm not gonna do it this time. St. Brown set a Lions record with 8 consecutive games with a touchdown. Detroit was the big what-if team of 2024. The thing that ultimately what-if them, held them back was their injury situation. Detroit lost 21 players to IR by December. That's nearly half an active roster, and it disproportionately affected the defensive side of the ball. The most devastating, of course, was Aiden Hutchinson's broken fibula and tibia, one that derailed a potential Defensive Player of the Year campaign for the edge rusher and limited a 15-2 team ceiling. Despite the revolving door of ailments, they were still a well-oiled machine, and that was on display when Jared Goff went 18 for 18 with 296 yards against the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. He was perfect, 100% completion rate. Those Seahawks, though, they put together 10 wins under new head coach Mike Macdonald, bouncing back from a 4-5 start to the season and finishing strong despite a drop-off from running back Kenneth Walker and uncharacteristically slow seasons out of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. A bright spot for Seattle was Jackson Smith-Njigba, who posted 1,100 receiving yards in year 2, catching passes from Geno Smith. Seattle did get to 10 wins, with their only losses coming at the hands of playoff teams following their Week 10 bye. It was their first 10-win season since 2020, but they still missed the playoffs. The 49ers would have been the easy pick to win the NFC West, but massive injuries, including their first-round pick Ricky Pearsall being shot in the fucking chest during a robbery attempt in August on the streets of San Francisco, as well as the losses of Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Those injuries foiled their chance to defend an NFC title. Arizona spoiled a 6-4 start, but their running back DJ Dallas did become the first player in NFL history to return the brand new dynamic kickoff for a touchdown when he went 96 yards in Week 1 at Buffalo. And did Cooper DeJean pick 6 Mahomes in the Super? Yes, he did. But the team that muscled their way atop the division, the LA Rams, who shook off a 1-4 stretch to begin 2024 and took off after getting Puka Nacua back on the field. The most impressive thing the Rams did, though, was replace Aaron Donald's production on the defensive line seamlessly with 2 rookies. Braden Fisk, the unsung hero who notched 8.5 sacks as a rookie in defensive end, and of course, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse, who had 4.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 77 pressures, which was good for 3rd best in the league.
You double team me. We got Kobe, we got Fisk, we got BY, we got Hoyt.
Byron Young and Kobe Turner in their 3rd years also made their D-line formidable. All homegrown talent for the Rams, who were aided, of course, by a no call on a clear face mask against Sam Darnold and the Vikings on Thursday Night Football. And before we move on, I'd like to just share a few of my favorite blops from the 2024 football season. In Broncos center, Luke Wattenberg is officially mimicking my snapping style. He will replace me this week on the Blop 10. Tony Romo glazing Patrick Mahomes for throwing the ball into the dirt.
This is Mahomes throwing it in the dirt on purpose. So he sees it, and then he's got such great instincts. He tries, and that's a winning play. No turnover.
Cam Taylor-Britt walking back his comments after saying Cliff Kingsbury runs a college offense and that they don't ask Jayden Daniels to do a lot.
Do you regret what you said?
They don't make him do a lot, so they keep it really simple for him. Nice college offense. Kingsbury's the OC, so no, ma'am, I do not regret it. And I didn't mean anything malicious out of the comment.
You know you messed up when you're referring to the reporter as ma'am. His pants came down. Previously, the Dolphins gave us the butt punt. Now just the butt. Dan Quinn's hand signals.
Really inspirational, and that's the kind of guy Dan Quinn is.
Okay, we're all thinking about drawing 2 juicy wieners between his hands, animating some girthy behemoths in there, and looping it for an hour, but hats off to the clean tweet going viral for a Phil Collins drumming reference. That is rare, because literally drumming references are now used for jerk-off jokes. For the 2nd week in a row, the sun foils the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb loses the ball in the sun. How rarely do you get to see a man's arrogance come back to bite him in real time? And by man, make no mistake, I mean Jara Jones.
God has blessed you, my friend, with a special gift.
Oh, those plays were just so stupid. Speaking of Sam Darnold, he broke out in a big way in 2024. When rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy was lost for the season after farting, the starting job belonged securely to Darnold, and he cruised to a 35-touchdown, 4,300-yard campaign in year 7 under NFL head coach of the year Kevin O'Connell. 97 of those yards came on one pass to Justin Jefferson, who had a down year with just 1,500 yards and 10 scores. And any other year, 14 wins would have been enough for the Vikings to take the NFC North. Unfortunately, the Lions made sure in Week 18 that Minnesota would have to go on the road in the playoffs and face the Rams. In fact, 3 teams from the NFC North made the tournament. The Packers got in for the 2nd straight year under quarterback Jordan Love, who unfortunately sprained his knee Week 1 in Brazil against the Eagles. Their success on offense was aided by free agent addition Josh Jacobs and his 16 touchdowns. Thank God for Josh Jacobs, because Green Bay's young receivers were a Shakespearean tragedy. Romeo, oh where art thou, Romeo, was battling concussions. Christian Watson tore his ACL late in the season, and the other receivers were dropping more balls than puberty. The Packers were 11-5 before a Week 18 loss to their arch rival, the Chicago Bears, beat them. Yep, and by that point, Chicago was on an interim head coach after Matt Eberflus proved on Thanksgiving that there wasn't much going on underneath that beautiful head of hair.
Completely botched at the end by the Bears.
The Bears were an absolute train wreck in 2024, and they bottomed out a day after Christmas, losing 6-3 to the Seahawks in the most unwatchable Thursday night game of all time. Yes, even more unwatchable than the one you're thinking about throwing in my face in the comments. Expectations were high, The Bears were on Hard Knocks. They had signed Keenan Allen and drafted Rome Odunze, and they were supposedly putting first overall pick Caleb Williams into a favorable situation. Just wasn't the case. The first of 6 quarterbacks taken in round 1, Caleb Williams was supposed to thrive. As a rookie, he wasn't a mess, and his 20 touchdowns to 6 picks looked pretty good on the stat sheet, but he also took a league-high 68 sacks. If you're scoring him out of the 5 first-round rookie quarterbacks that actually took the field, he was probably 4th.
I'm tired, Grandpa. That's too damn man.
Let's take a look at those guys in no particular order. Draketh May was the 3rd overall pick and went to New England, who really had no plan under Gerard Mayo other than to feed Jacoby Brissett to the Wolves until the Wolves were fat and slow enough that they thought they could sneak Drake May onto the field without getting murdered. The Pats shocked everyone when they beat the Bengals week 1, then lost their next 4 before giving Drake May a shot. And despite a shoddy offensive line and close to zero weaponry at his disposal, May acquitted himself nicely. The stat sheet wasn't eye-popping, but at times the eye test was a poppin'. Speaking of popping,
I'm Mike Penis. I'm named after my dad's penis.
Michael Big Penix Jr., the surprise Falcons first-round pick, didn't get his shot until week 16. The Falcons paid an injured Big Kirk Cousins $100 million and then drafted Penix 8th overall. Hashtag never forget. And did I mention that the whitest corner, Cooper DeJean, obliterated Patrick Mahomes and those devil dick-sucking Chiefs in the Super Bowl? Did I say that?
Oh my God, yes!
Kirk Cousins had started strong, especially with the 500-yard outing in a walk-off OT win against the Bucs, but never looked fully healed from his Achilles tear. Cousins led the league in picks, and finally Penix got a look and played well enough. It's a wait-and-see situation with Penix. A big story for Atlanta outside of Cousins' dismal play, though, was their lack of a pass rush. Things eventually picked up a little, and they finished with the 2nd fewest sacks in 2024 at 31, just ahead of the Patriots, who had 28. In Week 17, Penix lost a duel to the 2nd overall pick and Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jayden Daniels, who beat Atlanta with an overtime touchdown to Zach Ertz. That wasn't even Daniels' defining moment in year 1. That might have come when he put up a show against the Bengals with 3 TDs on Monday night, or when he erased a 2-touchdown deficit to fell the mighty Eagles in Philly. It's hard to pick just one. Oh wait, I can pick just one. How about a Hail Mary pass to beat the Bears while he had a broken rib? Bears corner Tyreek Stevenson got to his spot late to defend the pass because he was, taunting the crowd before the play and during the play. The ball bounced off his hand and found Noah Brown right on time, sending the Commies and Bears on opposite trajectories.
It's a miracle!
Chicago would lose 9 games in a row after that moment. 10 total, counting the Hail Mary play. Over his first season, though, Jayden Daniels threw 25 touchdowns and rushed for 6 more. And the only rookie who had him beat there? God bless Bo Nix. The one quarterback everyone and their mother shit on before the season. The man I made a Christian worship song for. I believe. The 2024 Broncos were expected to be a train wreck. Still hamstrung by Russell Wilson's contract and the loss of safety Justin Simmons, Denver powered past an ugly 0-2 start.
Bo, can you take us through the interception in the end zone?
Drop back, threw it to the other team.
And won 10 of their last 15. They would have made it 11, but Satan was unfortunately not on their side when it came time to kick the game-winning field goal in Arrowhead.
They blocked the goddamn kick!
But the quarterback who got them down there was a revelation, throwing more TDs in a single season than any other Bronco not named Peyton Manning. I But it was the defense that stole the show. Denver produced a league-leading 63 sacks and 5 defensive touchdowns, including 2 pick sixes, a Jameis Winston, and a Monday Night Classic. And of course, the Defensive Player of the Year, PS2, Pat Surtain, who locked up more receivers than the Miami PD. Locked them down.
Get out. Get out! Damn!
They dominated lesser teams like the Saints, Falcons, and Panthers. In hindsight, their 26-7 dominant victory over the Buccaneers to give Denver their first win was very impressive, considering Baker and Tampa made the postseason. As good as Bo Nix was as a rookie, when the Broncos faced playoff teams, they did struggle. The forgotten story about the rookie quarterbacks is that Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, and Jayden Daniels didn't throw a single fucking touchdown pass through the first 2 weeks of the season. Jayden and Caleb each got their firsts in week 3, but Bo Nix went all the way to week 4 in a monsoon against the Jets and still finished with 30 TD passes. Denver returned to the playoffs for the first time since 2015. And those Browns I just mentioned, well, they won just 3 games. Before I even say the name, Deshaun Watson. The Browns were a disaster on all sides of the ball. Injuries destroyed their offensive line. A defense that carried them a year before netted just 4 interceptions, worst in the league, and their best receiver was former Bronco Jared Jeudy, specifically in his revenge dagger game against the Broncos in primetime. And I would like to pause here for a second for a moment of silence as we remember Cooper DeJean picking off that fuckstick Patty Mahomes in the Super Bowl. 2 of the Browns' 4 wins came after Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles. One of those wins came in a snow globe game against the rival Steelers.
Somebody jump on sides, damn!
A team that had started hot with Justin Fields, continued to win after switching to Russell Wilson, but watched as a 10-3 start plummeted to 10-7 when Russ was essentially figured out. Their final loss came to the Bengals, one of the weirdest case studies of 2024. Russ threw 16 touchdowns in 11 games, but it felt like every completion was either a go ball to George Pickens or a check down. Mike Tomlin continued to dodge a losing record for the 18th straight season, but they were perfectly average and boring on offense, which can't be said about their rivals in Ohio. Cincinnati featured a quarterback who led the NFL in yards and touchdown passes, a Triple Crown winner at receiver in Jamar Chase, and the NFL sack leader in Trey Hendrickson, and essentially nothing else. Their defense cost them 2 games where the offense scored 38 points, and by the time they reeled off 5 wins to end the season, including a marathon overtime victory over Denver where T. Higgins dominated the show, they could not outrun their 4-8 start to the season. They missed the playoffs, and in that final week they sat and watched, praying for a team to lose. And the Broncos were one of the teams they needed to lose, and the Chiefs played none of their starters, and Cincy watched in horror as Denver violated Carson Wentz week 18. But the class of the AFC North was the Ravens. Odd calling the Ravens the class of the North considering their kicker was a serial pervert. Baltimore, though, got a career year from quarterback Lamar Jackson, whose 41-4 ratio for touchdowns and interceptions was not enough to win a 3rd MVP. Their offense changed when they signed running back Derrick Henry, who at age 30 amassed over 2,200 yards from scrimmage, helping to lead the charge in a great comeback year at the running back position across the NFL. 2024 was really the year that revived the running back. Lamar Jackson was fumbling and still throwing touchdowns on the same damn play. Along with the Bills and the Chiefs, they were the class of the AFC altogether. The Ravens defense self-corrected after having a terrible start to the year in the secondary, and Baltimore's 54 sacks trailed only the Broncos to finish the season. And did Cooper DeJean pick 6 Patrick Mahomes? Yeah, you get the point.
Oh my God, yes!
The AFC South was significantly less interesting or impressive. Jacksonville and Tennessee combined for just 7 wins. At least the Titans were entertaining in their losses. Amon-Ra St. Brown's touchdown streak was very impressive, but not nearly as impressive as Will Levis's hilarious weekly meme streak. Rest in peace to the weekly Will Levis hilarious turnover. Levis injured his shoulder and the Titans never found an identity. Doug Peterson for the Jags was ultimately fired in Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence appeared to regress. Unlike Will Levis, when he took a hit, it was actually scary. Azeez Al-Shire nearly decapitated Trevor Lawrence on December 1st. Jacksonville did get one of the biggest steals in the draft, though, with wide receiver Brian Thomas, who cranked out 10 touchdowns and had 1,200 receiving yards, emerging as a true number one wideout, while Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram battled through injuries. In a way, though, it was like the Jacksonville Jaguars won the Super Bowl, when Jacksonville was caught making out with Kay Adams.
Jacksonville Jaguars. Where am I looking over here? Okay.
And that's the moment I learned I could in fact be jealous of a furry. The Colts were stuck trying to get anything out of Anthony Richardson. Richardson did this crazy thing where he completed a few of the hardest throws of all of 2024, but whiffed on swing passes. Just 8 touchdowns, 12 picks, and a 47.7 completion rate. The last rate that low I remember is Tim Tebow with 46 in 2011.
I missed the mark.
Richardson was also injured more than not, and Pat McAfee went nuclear on the organization on his show.
Well, I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before in my life out of a quarterback.
Man, tired. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there, what I did.
An NFL quarterback doesn't tap out of a game, especially if they're able to go play. That's kind of a part of the position.
And I don't think I was gonna be able to go that next play, so I just, just told saying I just needed a break right there.
And I think what it does is it makes people think, like, get this guy the fuck off of our team.
The Colts. They might have pulled out another win had Jonathan Taylor held on to the football a millisecond longer crossing the end zone, but he didn't. He fumbled. And the rival Texans bumbled their way atop the division at 10-7 after a porous O-line let C.J. Stroud take a beating all year long. Newly acquired receiver Stephon Diggs tore his ACL Week 8. Tank Dell suffered one of the more horrific-looking leg injuries in a crucial December game against the Chiefs. He dislocated his kneecap and tore his ACL and damaged his MCL, LCL, and meniscus, his whole knee. It felt like the Texans never recovered from that moment emotionally, but what I choose to remember is Tank caught that ball for the touchdown. Tank caught that fucking ball. Tank caught that fucking ball. Tank caught that fucking ball. That's what we need to remember. The only other AFC division with 3 other losing teams was the East. The Pats lost 13 games, and the Dolphins couldn't recover from a couple of Tua injuries. We dropped a full Dolphins video a week ago, and I'd watch that to get more on Miami because everything went wrong for them. One of the biggest dumpster fires in the NFL was the Jets, Jets. After losing Aaron Rodgers in the beginning moments of 2023, Rodgers looked physically healthy, put up solid numbers in 2024, but even a mid-season Devontae Adams trade, which had one of the lamest reveals of all time, couldn't right the sinking ship that cost Robert Saleh his job after 5 games in 2024. I think we all knew the Jets were toast when we saw Aaron Rodgers give Robert Saleh that death stare. It also didn't help when rookie wide receiver Malachi Corley pulled a Deshaun Jackson and fumbled the ball through the end zone on a Thursday night game against the Texans. For the 14th straight season, the Jets failed to qualify for the playoffs. The other New York team, the Giants, didn't fare much better. After letting Saquon Barkley walk in free agency, the Giants cut Daniel Jones after 10 games, and their only saving grace was rookie wideout Malik Neighbors, who managed to put up 1,200 yards catching passes from Jones, Drew Lock, and Tommy Cutlets. Tim Boyle threw a touchdown somewhere in there as well. The Giants infamously cost themselves the number 1 overall pick in the draft when they inexplicably defeated the Colts 45-33 in Week 17. Although it feels like it might work out with Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter, and their similarity to the 2023 Texans with Stroud and Will Anderson will be watched closely. Was that a blessing in disguise? Maybe. The G-Men even lost a bizarre 14-11 game to the Saints, a team that came out of the gates red hot. I've never seen a team start as hot as the Saints and go as ice cold as quickly as they did. Derek Carr led New Orleans offense to 91 points in its first 2 games, but their injury list grew to the size of a phone book, and they called upon Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener at quarterback. Those two combined for an 0-7 record under the ousted head coach Dennis Allen and a fiery interim option named Darren Rizzi. Darren Rizzi earned all of our undying loyalty when he admitted he clogged the toilet prior to getting his first win as interim head coach.
So here I am early in the morning, I go to the bathroom, and this is how my day started. I clogged the toilet. And I'm like, this is going to be a crappy day, pun intended.
The Riz is now in Denver as their special teams coach. The Broncos have been working on a $175 million expansion at their team training facility, presumably to upgrade the pipes, to make sure that the pipes are big enough to handle Rizzi's giant shits.
And so he's spraying water, and I ripped his ass, quite frankly.
That's what I'm choosing to believe, and so should you. Now, there's one team that wasn't taking any shit in the NFC South, and that was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield threw for 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns, leading the 4th best scoring offense to 10 wins. And just as importantly, they got Mike Evans another 1,000-yard season and even survived a horrific Chris Godwin injury. The Bucs also found a gem at running back in the 4th round, Bucky Irving, who averaged 5.5 per carry and combined for 1,500 yards from scrimmage, giving the Bucs a much-needed rushing attack for the first time in a while. Under first-year head coach and former pornography connoisseur Dave Canales, the Panthers weren't as much of a threat on offense. After a 1-7 start to the year, it looked like Bryce Young, the former first overall pick, had cemented his status as a massive swing and a miss. When he got benched for quarterback Andy Dalton, it was a massive story. Dalton started 5 games, winning his first and then losing 4 in a row. Letting Bryce Young reset was a great move for Carolina, and it was actually a car wreck that opened the door back up for Young. Dalton sprained his thumb in a car accident, and that's when Bryce got his chance on the field again. Something began to click halfway through the year for the Panthers, and Bryce finished 2024 with a 13-touchdown to 4-pick stretch in his final 9 games. And Cooper DeJean, he did it. He picked 6th. Oh! Am I still monetized? Yeah, maybe. I don't know the rules of male nipples here on YouTube. The 2024 Raiders never quite saw things click at the most important position in football. We'll never understand how the Raiders beat Baltimore in Week 2, but they fell back to earth under Gardner Minshew, you traitor.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Aiden O'Connell and Desmond Ridder. Like Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, rookie tight end Brock Bowers flourished with the bottom-tier quarterback situation, amassing 112 receptions for nearly 1,200 yards. Bowers finished 2nd in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. When I think about how good Bowers and Neighbors were in bad situations, I'd like to ask the NFL to add another award to the NFL honors. Best Offensive Player and Best Defensive Player in absolute shit situations. The trophy they can get on stage could be molded in the likeness of the giant shit Rizzi dropped in that New Orleans toilet. Las Vegas, though, bookended the season with losses to the Chargers and ultimately fired head coach Antonio Pierce. The Chargers, they were in year 1 with their new head coach and rememberer of his own birth, Jim Harbaugh.
Damn it! Damn it!
LA boasted the league's best scoring defense and reminded us all of one of the rarest plays, the fair catch kick rule. Ugh. And this one by Cameron Dicker happens to be the longest one ever made, or something. Running back J.K. Dobbins returned to form, and despite a solid rebound effort from receiver Quentin Johnston, Justin Herbert's most reliable target became rookie Ladd McConkey, who went for over 1,100 yards. And it was also a miracle that quarterback Justin Herbert survived the season. After Jim Harbaugh was seen physically abusing him before each game, Herbert's stats don't really jump off the page, but he had his best touchdown to interception ratio of his career, 23 TDs to 3 picks, and his highest passer rating at 101. The Chargers were running a less stupid team, and that was a big leap forward for them. On the opposite end of the defensive spectrum were the Dallas Cowboys, who despite getting 12 sacks from Micah Parsons, finished 31st in scoring. It didn't help that they got as many starts at quarterback from Cooper Rush as Dak Prescott, and a 38-point beating at the hands of the Lions in Week 6 put an end to a promising 3-2 start to the season. The Cowboys got 2 cracks at the Philadelphia Eagles, and well, they lost those 2 games by a combined score of 75-13. But they shouldn't feel too bad. The Eagles were putting a hurtin' on a lot of teams. The Eagles being competitive was not a surprise, but how dominant they were was. Their team changed when they signed running back Saquon Barkley in the offseason. Allowed to walk very publicly in the offseason thanks to the first and last ever version of Hard Knocks offseason, Saquon joined the rival Eagles.
The right thing to do is let you test the market and see what your value is. Is it in the division? I'm trying to prepare myself mentally for what's going to happen. I mean, that's all.
And all he did was rush for 2,005 yards in 16 games, aided, of course, by a 26-carry, 255-yard game against the Rams on Sunday Night Football, and a backwards hurdle that will go down as one of the coolest plays in NFL history. As always, Jalen Hurts didn't wow anyone with his passing numbers, but he scored 14 touchdowns on the ground, 11 of which came from a yard out via the pushing of his tushy. And despite my repeated efforts, calling that play the anal advance never really caught on.
We sold our ass.
And Philly was dominating without their future Hall of Fame center, Jason Kelce, who retired to be a podcaster and a Jeff Bezos employee. Maybe one of the best moves of the entire 2024 offseason was Philly signing defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. That giant amoeba ball got his claws into that Eagles D and reset it. But the big changes over there were the additions of rookie corners Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, plus a breakout season at inside linebacker from Zach Bond. Jalen Carter also became one of the most dominant interior defenders in his sophomore season, generating 53 pressures. But hold on, I can't skip over the fact that we have a white corner in the NFL now.
It's something you dream about.
We actually have 2. In fact, it was Broncos corner Riley Moss who nabbed the first white guy pick since Jason Sehorn when he snagged an interception against the Raiders. And now that I've covered the most important development of 2024, let's get to the playoffs.
Yeah! The playoff picture is now starting to emerge.
The Texans were 3-point home underdogs when they hosted the LA Chargers to kick off the postseason. They won 32-12, probably because they managed to pick off Justin Herbert 4 times, one more than he had in the entire regular season. The Chargers' absolute implosion in that game should get talked about more, especially since we know how flawed the Texans were heading into the playoffs. Jim Harbaugh came off of a national championship at Michigan, and in his first playoff game back in the NFL was diced up by former Ohio State QB C.J. Stroud.
Herbert, tall in the pocket, and juggled. Looked like he dropped it.
Later that night, Danger Russell Wilson turned into a pumpkin in Baltimore, and Derrick Henry tied Terrell Davis with the most postseason games with at least 150 rushing yards in a 28-14 Ravens victory over the hated Steelers. That game, I think more than anything, solidified the fact that the Steelers were the most mediocre team in the NFL, and something needed to change if they wanted to win their first playoff game since 2016. Goodbye, Russell Wilson. Hello, Aaron Rodgers. That'll fix it, right? Right, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I still don't like it.
Did you find? Yeah,
no, I don't like it. No, I'm trying to change. We're in the process still. Looks like a damn spaceship out there. I gotta change it.
Bo Nix found Troy Franklin to give the Broncos a shocking 7-0 lead in Buffalo, but the Bills responded with 31 straight points and put Denver's turnaround season to a swift end in the wild card round. It's the best I have ever felt and ever will feel about a complete ass-kicking in the playoffs. God bless Bo Nix and God bless Josh Allen. I would marry both of you if that sort of thing was legal. Let football fans marry their favorite quarterbacks is what I say. A.J. Brown was caught reading on the sideline against the Packers, but Jordan Love didn't look like he could read anything from the Eagles defense, throwing 3 picks in a 22-10 loss at Philly. Barkley turned out a very quiet 119 rushing yards in that win as well.
Stiff arm. Look at his face. Stiff arm. 2 of them.
The second overall pick and rookie of the year, Jayden Daniels, got his first shot in the playoffs against Tampa Bay and set up Zane Gonzalez for a doink that sent them to the divisional round.
Step good, hold down, kick on its way.
That's what Jayden did all year long, though. He closed out games. He's probably the most clutch rookie quarterback I have ever watched. 5 comeback wins in the regular season. He was 40 of 59 for 551 yards, 6 TDs, and 2 picks when tied or trailing by 1 score in the fourth quarter. And the big stage of the playoffs was no different for him. Conversely, the brighter the lights got, the more Sam Darnold regressed to his old self. Sam's season peaked after defeating the Packers Week 17, where he was celebrated by his teammates in the locker room like a king. It was one of the best moments of the 2024 season, honestly, and then nothing went right for the Vikings after. In Week 18, a battle for the NFC North, they lost to Detroit, and a week later at the Rams, he got even worse, taking 9 sacks and leading the Vikings offense to just 9 points in an LA loss, one that was played in Arizona. The Vikings had 4 total losses in 2024, all to the Lions and Rams. They essentially had to face their kryptonite to conclude the season, and the way Jared Verse flew at them, it looked like their kryptonite was simply Superman. The 2 bye teams entered the fold in the divisional round. The Chiefs played classic Kansas City football and did just enough to keep their win against the Texans uninteresting. The play of the game, a diving Mahomes pass to Travis Kelce in the end zone, reminding all of us that even after a lackluster regular season, number 15 was still indeed capable of superhuman plays at quarterback. The Texans probably overachieved to even be in the divisional round, and let's be honest, they were never going to win that game no matter what they did.
I don't see helmet to helmet at all. That's a big-time penalty.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 39.
Come on.
Hours later, the Commies and Lions combined for 76 fucking points in Detroit. The only problem for the Lions were 3 touchdowns in a 5-minute span by the Commanders and 4 interceptions, 3 by Jared Goff and another from Jamison Williams. Jayden Daniels continued his incredible run. He put up a 123 passer rating and didn't take a sack on the road in the playoffs, while rookie corner Mike Sainristil led the Commanders defense with a pair of picks. After the best regular season in Detroit history, they were one and done in the playoffs. In a winter wonderland, the Eagles withstood a furious last-second comeback by the Rams, but a 78-yard touchdown run by Saquon Barkley got them past LA and back to the NFC title game. Jared Verse called the Eagles fans annoying before the game and backed up his talk with 3 tackles for a loss and 2 sacks, but it was Saquon's 205 yards, 146 yards on 2 carries that was the real thorn in his side. The Rams gave the Eagles a hell of a fight, and they had represented LA well after the devastating Palisades fire, but they were going home. That night, we got what was dubbed the showdown of the season. Bills, Ravens. Once again, the Bills surrendered the first touchdown, but the game changed when Damar Hamlin forced a Lamar Jackson fumble and Von Miller scooped, nearly scored, took the ball back 39 yards the other way, setting up Buffalo for a TD. The Ravens needed a score to send the game to overtime. After an 8-play drive, they got it via Lamar Jackson and Isaiah Likely, but the tying 2-point conversion went off the hands of their normally reliable tight end Mark Andrews, and another spectacular Ravens season failed to result in a trip to the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were set to face each other for a 4th time in the postseason in 5 years.
One more game. One more game.
And yet again, it was neck and neck. Buffalo erased an 11-point deficit with a Mac Hollins touchdown and a James Cook score to take a 1-point lead in the 3rd quarter. The tush push worked for the Eagles, but a failed quarterback sneak in a questionable spot led to a squandered lead by Buffalo.
It's on the Jumbotron, that angle where it sure does look like I crossed. I was like, they're calling this a first down. There's no way they can't.
Mahomes responded with a rushing touchdown, and an incomplete Josh Allen pass to Dalton Kincaid sealed the Bills' fate once again. Mahomes iced the game with the pass to Samaje Perine, and the hearts of Bills Mafia once again were broken in Arrowhead. 1 week later in Philly,
We sold our ass, and we got one more. We sold our ass.
Washington used 18 plays to score the first 3 points of the NFC Championship game. The Eagles needed just 1 for a touchdown. At halftime, the game was within 12 points, but Philly proceeded to drop 55 on the Commanders.
We sold our ass.
And it got so bad for Washington that Frankie Louvu's pre-snap antics almost got the Eagles a free touchdown. For the 2nd time in 3 years, the Eagles were returning to the Super Bowl.
Oh, put that belt to ass!
That spelled the end of a storybook season for Washington, who changed their fortunes and their ceiling with new ownership and a 2nd overall pick well spent.
And if no clear winner emerges from all this, a 2-man sack race will be held on consecutive Sundays until a champion is crowned.
Kansas City was now 1 game away from a three-peat, something that has never happened in the Super Bowl era. Their opponent, a team they would topple 2 years prior in AZ. Most NFL fans were not eager to see a repeat of a game from 2 years ago. Most people outside of Pennsylvania and Missouri would have loved to see a Buffalo-Washington big up a game-winning field goal from Harrison Butker after one of the best back-and-forth Super Bowls in recent memory. But this time in the Big Easy, it looked easy for Philadelphia. The Chiefs may have held birthday boy Saquon Barkley to just 57 rushing yards, but Jalen Hurts combined for a trio of touchdowns. The game went from bad to worse for the Chiefs when fellow birthday boy Cooper DeJean, he picked off his first pass in the NFL and snuck it past the pylon for a touchdown, giving the Eagles a 17-0 lead in the 2nd quarter. What really sealed it, though, was a 46-yard dime from Hurts to Devontae Smith in the end zone. At that point, the game was 34-0. 34-0. Mahomes threw 3 touchdowns to make the score look a little more respectable, but we all knew they got fucking pounded. They got pounded, those fucking Chiefs.
Suck, you jackass.
So much so that all we remember is Kenny Pickett was taking snaps at the end of the game. Jalen Hurts was declared Super Bowl MVP. The Eagles finished a postseason with 95 points in their last 2 games, and they kept Kansas City from reaching the status of football immortality. And for that, I think we can all thank them. Thank you, Philly. And on to 2025 we go. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here. Remember, trying to get to 775,000 subs before the season starts. Don't forget to sign up for Prize Picks with my code TGS.